Marshall skips away. Marshall skips away. Marshall's still going. Marshall's got Richards coming up outside. Now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the TGIF podcast. Thank God it's footy. As we move closer and closer towards the silly season, just a few more weeks to go until Christmas now. The footy's definitely heating up over in Qatar, but before we get into all of that, a bit closer to home, how have you been, bruh? How was the week? A big one on Saturday, Sunday. I understand. I've already found out how it went, but why don't you let the listeners know how it went up there at the Birkenhead Spring Open?
Yeah, cheers, mate. Listeners, hello again. How are we all? It's good to be back with you, as always. Now, Sammy over there, you're right. It was a big one on Sunday. Now, a big one on Sunday for me, and a big one on Saturday for my darting partner in crime, the man that is Fred the Flying Kiwi Gabel. Now, Saturday obviously here in New Zealand, I'm guessing Australia too, they seem like the country that would do Crate Day. Do we know?
I don't think Crate Day's a thing in Australia.
Well, I'm sure all you Aussie listeners out there know about Crate Day. But it was Crate Day here in New Zealand, and our mate Fred, he likes to drink a 12, and he had a large one. And I arrived at the darts Sunday morning. I wasn't feeling too fresh, I must say. I was up a little bit later, but I was having a nice and sober one, so I was good. I was ready. I called Fred 5:08 possibly, getting ready to leave, straight to the old answer phone. And so I had that, maybe he's trying to call me, and it's we've had that sort of in limbo kind of.
Yeah.
But no, I called him a few more times, no luck, and I got on up to the RSA. I don't know how many people asked me. It took till about maybe 12:30 till we heard from him, and by that stage, people were just happy to know he was alive. But no, in terms of the darts, it was a big one. Now, we had boards of 6, if I remember rightly. I think I had 2 wins and 3 losses, possibly, there in the main round, in the group stages there. Sorry, and missed out on the main round knockouts there by a leg, and snuck my way into the consolation, and I think I qualified as the second or third top, and because of Freddie, the bastard, and a couple others who didn't show, we got a bye. So I had to bye into the quarterfinals, and it was good. By that stage, Freddie was away. A few of the boys were tuned in there on the knacker, watching the game, and I had a nice 3-2 win up against a fella named Mike. Great dude. Nice 3-2 win, sort of just honing in on those triple 19s. I think I had maybe a 1-3-3 involved in there, which was pretty tasty, and managed to sneak the win, make my way into the semi-finals, and by that stage we've got our $20 back. So I've got my entry fee back, and it's my first time around. Yeah, first 20, we're in a semi-final, we're happy. We come up against another bloke named Mike again. Now, another great dude as well. And on Wednesday prior, he'd hit 2 180s against Freddie, so I knew what he was like. I knew what he could do, and I said to him, mate, you can't be going and doing that sort of stuff against me today. Like, this is my day, and I'm here to play some darts. Now, we went out there and we 3-0'd him. So I was all right. I was playing pretty hot, and I thought, here we go. We're in the final. This is my first time involved in a bit of finals darts, I guess.
Bright lights darts.
The bright lights, we were on the main stage.
The pressure's
no stage, but we're at one of the main ockies. People are there, people are watching, and it was up against a fella who I guess you could call a bit of a nemesis up there at Birkenhead. Jason, he's a great dude. He's also a teacher, and I think he's beaten me 3 or 4 times since we've started. Bet me in the first week, bet me in the second week, and I saw that I was up against him in the final, and I thought, oh fucking hell, here we go. But by that stage, I also knew, hey, I'm at least I got my $50 here now. You know, I'm a winner. You know, I'm walking away a winner. Also, at that stage, had the raffle had been drawn, and I'd got myself a board. So
Solid.
So pretty happy with the takings there. Now get into the final, and unfortunately I can't seem to hit a single, a double, or a triple really. And he 4-0s me. So it was a humbling experience. But I got myself a medal. I got myself $50. I got myself a dartboard. I got myself a Ben Robb shirt as well. So pretty happy. I got myself probably about 13 pieces of Pizza Hut limo pizza.
Nice.
As well, and for $5, I mean, I was pretty happy with that. I just sort of stood there and scoffed my face for a wee bit, but no, it was good. My really enjoyable first darts tournament. Shout out to Jamie and everyone else up at Birkenhead RSA for sorting it out and organising it. And then we got involved in a little doubles do last night, me and Fred, and when he got there, everyone was checking in, making sure he wasn't still hungover. And yeah, we weren't too flash. Let's just say we weren't on our doubles in the doubles 20. I think we had a game where we averaged below 35, and ended up getting into the consolation semi-finals, and I think we lost 2-0 and went home early and sat in the Macca's drive-thru for half an hour. But enough about me probably. Should we take a little look at sort of what's been going on in the world of sports, I guess?
Yeah, well, congratulations, mate. Well done on making the final. We love it. TGIF's here to take over the world, one darts 20 and one podcast at a time. But yeah, like you said, let's
2029 Q School. I'll be making my way there. Whether I'm still averaging in the high 40s to low 50s, or I'm up there averaging in the 80s, hopefully by that stage, 80s to 90s, and I'll be giving it a crack. So I've set a date with Fred. We're going to give it a go. Who knows where we'll end up. Maybe one day, like we'll be talking about a little bit later on, we'll be seeing, I don't have a darting nickname yet, but we're going to say Nat, insert here, Milnes, up there on the World Championship stage. So it'd be
it's got to be
awesome
something to do with that big head of yours.
Yeah, with like old Fred, he said quick Nath. Now viewers, I'm not a Nathan, I'm a Nathaniel. I'm not a big Nath fan, but I do like my quick math. But I think that's once you get to that level of darts, everyone's got the quick math. So I don't think it's anything that would set me apart. So give us your suggestions if you want. I'll post a photo of myself in a darts stance on the old social medias, and you can get a look. Give us your nicknames. But enough about me. We'll have a look at some news now. There's something you wanted to talk about. I've got to say I hadn't heard of this fella ever before.
Look, it popped up probably early last week. Maybe late last week, can't quite remember, but a bit shocking to me, really. But Carlos Padilla, the Filipino boxing referee, now he's come out and admitted to basically cheating Australian boxer Skinny Hussein. Now, in honest truth, hadn't really heard of him before this news dropped, but cheated him out of a knockout victory over none other than Manny Pacquiao. Now, you don't have to be the biggest fan of boxing to know that name, but yeah, this was back in 2000. The ref slowed down the 10 count so Pacquiao could get up and recoup a bit and get back into the fight, and yeah, that was one of the fights that propelled Pacquiao along his way to becoming a title challenger. And I'm pretty sure in boxing there,
sounds a bit fishy to me, eh?
Yeah, if you lose one of those fights in boxing, I don't think you're remembered for very long. It's pretty tough to come back from a loss unless you're sort of already right up there at the top. So yeah, poor dude. The guys come out and said that Padilla took his soul that night and hasn't been the same ever since. Yeah, very, very shocking news to see, and feel very bad for the dude.
I'm googling him now. I'm having a little look at him.
Does
he look like a type of Skinny Hussein?
I think he was a Australian champion in his weight division. Pretty good boxer, but obviously, cheated out of a big one here, and who knows? That could have put him on the path to.
He could have had his soul taken. I was just having a look to see whether he does look soulless, because soullessness, I think it's one of those sort of facial expressions that's quite easy to pick up on. But no, poor dude. It's it all sounds a little bit fishy to me that there. But I gotta say I hadn't heard of him before. But like you said, Manny Pacquiao there, pretty synonymous when it comes to the sport of boxing. And to know that it could have been one of those occasions where he may have lost, and then we may have never heard of him.
We may have been talking about Skinny Hussein versus Mayweather as one of the all-time classic fights, but yeah, obviously not the biggest boxing fans here at TGIF, but it was a very shocking piece of news and sort of dominated my news feed for a couple of days there. Another one that's sort of been dominating the news feed here, lots of conjecture and gossip around it. Brazilian legend Pelé has sadly been hospitalised. Reports are that he's got cancer, suffering from mental confusion, and things aren't looking too good on that front. You have a bit of a theory behind that?
I think it's a bit rough. I think it's a bit dark, unfortunately. But it's he's how old is he?
I think he's in his late 70s.
Late 70s. He's an old bloke, and
he's
82.
He's probably lived a full life full of exotic luxuries.
Yeah, 82
and the like.
I think it's one of those things. You often see it when you get like an old couple or something along those sorts, where maybe one dies and then the other one may die in the next, week or two. And I think it's not necessarily, I guess it is a theory, you could say. I'm probably going to get plastered for this, but I think if Brazil are to go out there and win the World Cup, I don't think it would be too long until Pelé passed away. It's kind of one of those things, where you can kind of you've got what you needed. You can kind of, your heart can be at rest. It's a little bit controversial, I guess. I don't know. I don't know if that's the word to go for there, but a little bit of a theory. But it's sad to see. Obviously a legend in terms of the game of football. But it's one of those things in life. We all age. And unfortunately there's ailments that come with it. But we'll be crossing our fingers and hoping for the best. Hoping he pulls through.
Yeah, I'm sure that will inspire the Brazilian lads out there, as if they needed any more extra motivation. They're definitely looking like
playing some good footy.
The team to beat at the moment, I think. But we'll crack into that a little bit later. But anyway, some more lighter news.
It is nice to see, isn't
across the old desk. You may have forgotten the name, but Bronson Xerri, the young throbber from the Sharks, who unfortunately was banned by ASADA there for some dodgy substances, I believe, that he was taking willingly or unwillingly there, but he's gone and announced on his Instagram that he's got a contract locked in for 2024 and 25. Reports allegedly that it's with the Canterbury Bulldogs. Not sure if that's been confirmed yet or not, but yeah, good signing for the Doggies, I reckon.
Yeah.
Let us know, Doggies fans, if there are any of you listening to our show. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I
Good
think it's
signing,
an awesome signing. Yeah, he was awesome when he was playing
So
before he was
fast.
banned. Like, yeah, just like
That's one thing that, it really helps you set yourself apart in an attacking.
the speed, but he's big. He was big, and he was powerful. And
Jerry and Addo Carr on one edge.
no
No way you're catching up with them if they break
that would
through.
be lethal. Yeah. So it is. It's good to see. And it's nice to see. When you, whatever reason, a
We
player's
love a good
gone
comeback
missing.
story,
Yeah,
good redemption story as well.
Yeah, a bit of a redemption story. Like we obviously know
It's
that
not one of those things where you might have your moral clashes with people that take enhancing drugs and whatnot in sports, but yeah, it's definitely not the roughest thing that a rugby league player's ever done.
Yeah, let's
to
just
be
say
banned
that
from the game.
we've seen a lot worse in terms of rugby league players, and they are
He
sort
deserves a redemption story, I reckon.
yeah, it'll be good to see. That's probably about it, I guess, in terms of general news-related items.
Yeah, shall we crack into a bit of the FIFA World Cup then?
Yeah.
Sounds good. First of all, my bets. Now, if you're a super, super keen listener of the podcast, I know you said that Fred's got his notifications on, so you can listen to us as soon as we drop. I did drop the podcast last Thursday evening at about 11 o'clock or midnight just after you'd left there. So you might have tuned in and caught that first multi that involved those Friday morning games kicking off at 4 a.m. That came off for me there. But didn't go too well for me after that, sorry punters. The big super multi was over by day 2, and it's just a few too many upsets to be wrangling in those result-based multis.
Yeah, a bit of a rough
over
one.
the last few days for me.
It's been hard to pick some of these games so far throughout this World Cup. Obviously now we're sort of down to the nitty-gritty stage of it, so you're starting to maybe get these teams that are coming up against each other. Sorry, that are both of very similar high quality teams, which is usually when it's tricky. But we've been seeing teams that are probably having some, I don't want to say astronomical, but higher odds that are coming off of the win. So it's tricky, but it's been a wee while since we've recorded last, and there's been plenty of footy. So we'll try and give it to you in a new way this week. Do you want to explain it?
So yeah, what I tried to do is set it up so that we're talking about the route through to each quarter final, semi in order if we can. So first of all, I guess we'll talk about the Dutch. No surprising anybody that they were able to deal with the Qataris in their final group stage game there, and
pretty expected, yeah.
Yeah, obviously a nice little record for Cody Gakpo, scoring in
3-3, yeah,
3 consecutive group stage games. So yeah, he's quickly becoming the new star man of this Netherlands side, maybe replacing the likes of Memphis Depay and other sort of Dutch stars of maybe a generation older than him. Yeah, really firing this Dutch side along, as well as Memphis, of course, in some good form as well. But yeah, he'll be hoping to fire them through to the Dutch's first World Cup if they can.
Yeah, obviously, but a heartbreak, was it 2010, eh?
Yeah,
2010 Spain,
they
Netherlands?
lost the final.
Yeah.
Yes. 2014 was Argentina.
That was
lost the final.
The Nigel de Jong red card, was it? I believe in that World Cup, the old karate kick to the chest.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Iniesta breaking Dutch hearts there in extra time.
That's right.
The Flying Dutchman. Oh, that might have been the next World Cup.
With the header.
Yeah, it might have been. Yeah, because otherwise it would have been the picture on that
Yeah,
poster we've got up
2014.
there.
We've sidetracked a little bit there. Sorry, listeners, but we do have a nice looking poster up.
The dazzling
in
dozen
room
of
here,
the
dazzling
2014 World Cup.
Yeah.
And yeah, bit of a throwback there. Some huge star names at that World Cup.
One player I see up there who today retired from international football, Eden Hazard. But yes, we've sidetracked now. Obviously, like we said, quite an expected win, and it was good to see for Gakpo. Now up against the USA, who got the better there of Iran in their, I guess, qualifying match, you could say.
Yeah, it's sort of whoever. Well, I think Iran. See, Tyler Adams got scolded for pronouncing that wrong.
I didn't see that.
Iran. I believe if they got a draw, they would have gone through off the back of the US only having drawn against Wales and Iran having picked up the win in their game there. Iran, obviously, I think had one extra point at that stage. So yeah, could have been through with a draw for them, but US coming up big. Christian Pulisic with the goal to fire the Americans through. I mean, he's been plenty of promise around him for a number of years, and Chelsea and American fans there will be pretty stoked to see him firing the US through to the round of 16. He's gone and delivered on the biggest stage for his country, so good on him.
Yeah, obviously a player who's sort of been I don't want to say up and coming for a wee while, but when he came out quite young onto the scene and sort of
got
looked
that
like
transfer to Dortmund at quite a young age, and
looked like this player with
been
quite
on
a
the
lot of
radar
potential
for a while. Yeah.
But yeah, he's been able to deliver, like you said, on the big stage there for the Americans. But it kind of didn't really get too much better from there, really, did it?
Came to a screaming halt in the next game. Yeah, didn't really go to plan for the Americans there up against the Dutch. It's probably a pretty comfortable one for the Dutch in the end. But yeah, they're looking strong, aren't they? Every game that goes along, I think they're starting to slowly convince me more and more. These Dutch, they're just flying a little bit under the radar, aren't they?
Yeah, obviously. They were sort of I think it was 2-0 up there by half time. Dumfries Daley Blind got the
couple of assists.
Yeah, I think Dumfries got the 2 assists and then scored the last goal.
Yep, so really good game from him.
And it was Daley Blind, I think, who scored right before half time there, and so they looked pretty strong.
Blind and Depay, I believe.
Yeah, Depay got the first. I've just got it. Yeah, Depay, Blind, and Dumfries. Yeah. So yeah, 2-0 up there by half time. They were looking pretty solid, and the US managed to get that goal there to sort of bring them back into contention, I guess, a little bit, sort of near the end of the game. And I think 5 minutes later there, Dumfries managed to get the goal and seal the deal for the Dutch. But they're looking pretty good, I got to say. Interesting to see how they go. But it's an interesting one because it's a different team, and I think the Dutch sides over the years, they've obviously had that potential there and look like they could possibly deliver a big trophy like the World Cup. But there's a few younger names in this Dutch team this time around, so it'll be interesting to see how they go when it comes down to the later stages of the tournament, I guess.
Yeah. I don't think they'll be an easy team to beat in the slightest, but yeah, maybe just those big games. Do they have as much big game experience as the likes of some of the other nations still around? But moving on to another sort of route through, Senegal breaking Ecuadorian hearts there with their 2-1 win to send them through to play the English after they dealt with the Welsh pretty comfortably in the end 3-0 thanks to a Marcus Rashford brace there and a goal from Phil Foden. I thought one thing to note in that Ecuadorian game was shout out to Moises Caicedo, obviously breaking the streak there of Enner Valencia.
Yeah, what was it? 7 games in a row? 6 games in a row, I believe it was.
6 goals in a row.
6 goals in a row, sorry, yeah.
For Ecuador, so a new goal scorer there, but Senegal's captain, Koulibaly, obviously scoring the big one to send them through to play the English.
Yeah, now, kind of, I guess what we said, it's expected there. We were talking about it earlier. Expected there the English result up against a Welsh team there. But that Senegal Ecuador game, I think I was going for Ecuador. I think I might have even said that last week, that I was thinking that Ecuador were possibly going to pull it off.
I thought they were definitely looking the better of the sides, just based on the
only needed a draw,
against the Dutch.
Yeah, I think it was Ecuador that I'd gone for. And it was I guess a trickier one to pick. But Senegal, I thought, they looked like they were playing pretty well in that one there, and looked like they were going to come into a game up against the English, where known at big tournaments like this to bottle it a little bit, I guess, in recent times, you could say, and possibly had their hopes that they may have been able to sneak a win.
Yeah, I think the English did pretty well in the end to deal with the Senegalese. It was a tight affair in the first sort of half an hour, 40 minutes there, with Senegal forcing a really big save out of Pickford. I don't know if you remember that one.
Not too sure.
Big, strong left arm.
Oh, yep.
Across the goal. There was another one that Ismail Assar blasted over the top from point quite close in. So yeah, Senegal definitely had their chances to cause that upset that I guess so many English supporters and observers, if you don't support them, have been waiting for, have been seeing over the last few years. But yeah, this one I don't really remember too many knockout games for England that they've sort of cruised through, and they did a good job there. Once they went 2-0 up on the stroke of half time, it was a big one there. They could really cruise in the second half. Another
round of 16 game there, like you said, that sort of switched, I guess, there right at the stroke of half time, a second goal being scored, and one team, I guess, going into the break with their heads held high, and one team probably feeling a little bit deflated with the scoreline, I guess. But good to see Saka, I thought, getting a goal.
Yeah.
Obviously getting that third one there to sort of put the nail in the coffin. I think most probably would have been picking England, but again, like I said, they are sort of known to lose it when it comes to these big games like this, and I don't
England are the big chokers of the World Cup.
I don't think people would be too surprised. Like if Senegal had got the win, I guess it definitely would have been classified as an upset. You
just have to remember, 6 years ago was it Iceland knocked England out in that round of 16 game at the Euros?
That's right. Yep.
So yeah, definitely shown some complacency over our lifetime watching these big football tournaments. So it's good to see, from my point of view, it's good to see England doing well in these knockout games. And yeah, like you said, Saka, if we can get him coming back for the rest of the season after a big World Cup, 3 goals already, hopefully feeling on top of the world to come back and fire this Arsenal team to a Premier League title. But another important thing that English fans will be pretty stoked with is Harry Kane obviously getting off the mark, getting his first goal of the tournament there. So they'll be hoping he can continue that there into their big quarter-final against the French, who suffered a bit of a shock upset
They
in
did.
their final group stage game, which the Aussie manager was not too happy with Deschamps for naming a weaker side. I don't know if you've seen all of that.
I haven't seen that actually, but I did know obviously there that it was a slightly weaker side, and I know that we'd spoke about that there was a possibility that they may rest a few players, try and give a few of these players, the more of the squad players an appearance there at the World Cup. And yeah, I know. I can imagine you'd be pretty pissed off in a situation like that. But Tunisia coming away with a win there.
Yeah, I would. Not too many people would have picked that. I mean, in all fairness to Tunisia.
Tunisia,
Tunisia is how you pronounce it.
Yeah, Sarah, I know you're not going to be listening to this, but Sarah, who I work with, we're just with the World Cup going on. It might have even, I don't think it was that game. It might have been another game that they were playing in that was on. Possibly, I'm not too sure which game it was. Maybe their second group game, and we were talking about it. And apparently, her brother's partner or brother, I'm not too sure what it is. Some relations, acquaintance of some sort is from Tunisia. And yeah, so another name there. Look at that. You've been given two pieces of vital geographical information, I guess, to ensure you're not offending any locals when you're off to Iran and Tunisia.
There you go, an educational podcast. How good. But yeah, Tunisia, they're pulling off a big bit of a shock, which, to be fair, I mean, even looking through that French second lineup, I'd still be backing them to pick up the win. It's probably still a bit of a shock, but shout out to Wabi Kazri there for snagging the goal, which leads to a famous Tunisian win. But I guess we'll get into this a little bit later. It was all in vain in the end, wasn't it? I'm sure they'll take it, a big famous win against the world champions, France, but yeah, all in vain for them in the end, with the other results in the group. But moving on to the Saudi Arabians versus Mexico. Another day of heartbreak.
Keeping a theme of heartbreak, though, exactly. Mexico managing to get the win. I was super gutted. I was so keen to see Saudi Arabia. Imagine that. You've gone to a World Cup. You've beaten an Argentinian team led by Lionel Messi. And you go. What did they get another? I can't even remember. What did they end up on points wise?
Three. They lost to Poland.
They did lose to Poland.
Mexico.
Yeah. So
2-0, 2-1.
It's pretty outrageous. It's got to go down as one of the most obscure World Cup campaigns ever.
Yeah, I mean, I was just looking at I've forgotten his name now. What's that gaffer's name?
Hervé
Renard. I was just looking at his speech, halftime speech when they versed Argentina the other day, and thinking, surely he could have fired them up for a bit better than what they put up against the Mexicans and Poles there. But look,
they'd left everything out on the pitch probably in that Argentina game, and they were probably knackered.
Yeah, I mean, look, in hindsight for them, it's probably one of the tougher groups of the tournament, with the Poles and the Mexicans there. But to beat arguably the favourites, probably most people's second, third, fourth favourite there to win. They'll be super disappointed to not kick on from that opening day win, the Saudis, but the Mexicans as well, just having to rely on Argentina to do them a favour. But
at one stage having to rely on a yellow card.
At one stage, it was all on fair play.
I don't know. We've got a little bit of like it's called Lawson's Reserve. I guess it's like a mini forest that we've got on the side of the school there, and we'd had someone come through from a pest-free group, and we'd chucked a few things there in the forest, having a look, seeing what pests we had out and about, and I was just, we were out there having a look, and I had to have a couple of looks on the phone to see how it was going, and I checked the BBC commentary, and it said, I don't know how it was worded, but basically said, that all they needed was another yellow card from Poland, I think it was, and it would have put them through. So, very obscure scenario, but never got down to that in the end.
Saudis ended up scoring a late goal to sort of rub it in the Mexicans' faces, and both of them were on their way home after that. Pretty gutting. But I guess in the other game in that pool, it's not really too much to say for Poland. They put themselves already in a good position there after those first two games, and they were okay, but I thought it was probably more of a case of Argentina versus Szczesny than Argentina versus Poland, with the highlights package featuring a lot of saves that Szczesny had to make, and not too many that his old mate from Arsenal, Martinez, had to make in the other net. Szczesny doing well to save Messi's penalty there, but a few goals conceded, and could have been a few more if it wasn't for Szczesny there.
Yeah, I thought he was awesome throughout this. Obviously good to see an ex-Arsenal player producing the goods like that. A player that I remember when he was first at Arsenal and he had the number 53, and I went out there and got that on the back of my shirt.
On the academy shirt, yeah.
Yeah, I've got a Milnes 53 shirt, which is pretty awesome. So it was good to see him getting out there and pulling off all types of saves. But unfortunately, I guess a bit of a similar story when it came to them getting involved in a bit of knockout footy.
Yeah, look, bit more of a case of, in this one, France up against Szczesny rather than Argentina up against Szczesny. Obviously, Les Bleus picking up a very comfortable 3-1 victory.
Another game, though, that I guess swings on half-time. Giroud managing to get the goal there right before half-time. And possibly, again, a team going in feeling maybe a little bit deflated after putting in a pretty solid defensive effort to keep them out.
Yes, very, very heartbreaking time to concede, just before the half-time whistle there. You feel like you've done all the hard work to go in at 0-0 to set yourself up for that smash and grab, but as soon as you go 1-0 down and there's a whole half of football to play, it gets tough. You have to start trying to chase the game a bit more, and Mbappe manages to do what he does best, score a couple of goals there in the second in emphatic fashion. I thought he scored a couple of really good goals with thumping finishes.
One, I think it was the second one.
Just like goes, boom!
Right up into that top left. He just kind of like...
And it's like gone there from Szczesny, but like you wouldn't begrudge him for not having reacted. Because
it was unreal how quick it was, though.
Comes off his foot and it's in the net in 0.2 seconds. Like, it's crazy. This kid is just next level. But of course, the main shout-outs in this game go to Olivier Giroud. As you mentioned, on the stroke of half-time, scoring that goal, which puts him atop the tree. Les Bleus' all-time goal scorer.
Pretty incredible stat to hold. No, I know we spoke about it together the other day, and you were sort of saying it could have been very different. If it what's the saying there? If
hadn't have been
for what happened to Benzema.
Karim Benzema and Valbuena there, but
if he'd been involved in a few more games, over the years. He may not have had the opportunities he's had, but 51, 52.
I believe he's 52 now.
52 goals for the French national team. Obviously, some pretty tasty French goal-scoring legends there's been over the years.
Overtaking none other than the King of Highbury, Thierry Henry. But yeah, I was also saying, I unfortunately for Giroud, I don't think he'll be too disappointed about this. I think he's already acknowledged it himself, and I guess it's probably one of those things where if it's a national team, if it's one of your boyhood clubs, you're a genuine supporter of the team. You don't mind seeing people break your records, and especially when it's someone that's been your teammate for a number of years. But the way Mbappe plays, it's next level, and I believe at the age of 23 that he is now 19 shy of Giroud. So what?
19, correct. He has 33 to Giroud's 52.
At the very latest, sorry to Giroud, but I don't see him continuing to make too many French squads over the likes of Karim Benzema, maybe other young French strikers coming through, the likes of Thuram, with the thoughts of future European championships and World Cups in mind. I think Mbappe takes it off him at the very latest by the next World Cup, if not by the next Euros.
If he continues at the rate he's going, it'll be about 36 games
for Mbappe to reach 52.
To score 19 goals.
But then I'm going to assume Giroud maybe gets another 5 or 10 if he's, still involved for another couple of years, maybe.
So we say you're looking at like 50, late 50s games wise.
How many games do France play a year? Because Mbappe would play 90% of them.
So it's I think you're probably looking at it. Yeah.
I would say
before the next World Cup
would be the latest that would happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, good on you, Giroud. Unfortunately, your record's not safe for long, I don't think, but good on him. Sits atop the tree, an ex-Gooner there, and obviously one of your all-time favourite players, Olivier Giroud. So I'm sure he's listening. Shout out Olivier, we love you, mate. But the other team that managed to progress against the odds, like we said, Tunisia's win against Limbo was in vain. The Aussies. Now, they would have been chanting Aussie, 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 oi, 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 in ridiculous numbers at ridiculous volumes after Matthew Leckie.
At ridiculous hours of the morning.
Yes. It was beautiful scenes for Australian fans to, especially, I think it was Melbourne there, that they had a big gathering. And it was
couple of large gatherings, that's for sure. There was some very big
party there.
Crowd. What are they called? Crowd viewings.
Yeah.
I guess where you get the big screen up, kind of like those movies in the park that you'd get. Where you'd go down to the park and have a picnic, and the movie would be playing at night. A bit like that, but a little bit crazier, I guess you could say. And we know that the Aussies love a brew or two. I can imagine there would have been a few brews that were consumed. And yeah, I guess in terms of the football, probably not the result I was expecting, I guess. I didn't really see them being able to do the business there up against the Danes. But, it's one of those things. As a neighbouring country of New Zealand, I'm not Aussie myself, but it's good to see our, I guess you could say, our big brothers across the ditch doing the job for. We know that they play under Asia now, in inverted commas, but they're oceanic. we're Australasia, whatever way you want to look at it. So it's nice to see. So they had a Kiwi there supporting them and me, with my yellow on over the top of my all white.
I'm sure there would have been plenty others in that position. We definitely love to give our big brothers over there a bit of a ribbing when we can, but yeah, it's good to see them do well in our absence, I suppose. Matthew Leckie, the hero on the day, to send the Australians through to the round of 16 with a really good goal. And yeah, like you said, not too many would have been picking that, including us. Last week we said it would have been a very tough job up against the Danes there. But well done to the lads. 2 wins for the Socceroos, which I believe that doubles their all-time tally from 2 wins to 4 wins at World Cup. So awesome stuff, lads, for a team that, yeah, not too many would have been saying too many positive things about before the tournament. To pick up 2 wins compared to some other golden generations of Australian talent that have gone, with the likes of Viduka, Kuhl, Bresciano, Cahill,
pretty
all
awesome
these big
teams
players
over the years.
Yeah, all these big players that have played on the biggest stages that, yeah, haven't managed to, I suppose, do as well as these lads in terms of wins, but they equalled their best ever result there, going through to the round of 16. But I mean, we already mentioned it. Argentina, they made sure of things with a 2-0 win over the Poles, despite the inspired performance of one Wojciech Szczesny in goal there. But yeah, look, Argentina booked their way through to face this Aussie team that was finally making it through to the round of 16. But the Aussies would have been hoping for another shock upset like the Saudis managed to pull off not so long ago, but wasn't to be, was it?
Nah, definitely a tough ask for the Aussies there in this one, up against Argentina. This was this Sunday morning there. This was the game on when I got to the darts actually, and managed to tune in for most of that second half there. And I thought the Aussies looked pretty good in patches. I thought they definitely gave Argentina a bit of a fight. That's for sure. I thought in this one could have been a little bit different.
Yeah, it was definitely a performance that you'd be proud of as an Aussie fan. Look, it was tough once Argentina had gone 2-0 up off the back of the little Matty Ryan muck up at the back there. But once that deflected goal went in, things certainly started to get interesting, and Aussie had a chance or two there to equalise the game. And what a famous, even just to take Argentina to pens there, what a famous result that would have been.
Imagine that, yeah.
And they had a chance right at the end there to send it to extra time with Garang Kuol getting a really good last second shot in, which was just smothered brilliantly by Emi Martinez there to
imagine if it had gone in, it could have been so different.
Yeah, not only make sure it didn't go in the first instance, but make sure no Australian striker was there to tap in the rebound. It was a really good save, and heartbreaking for Aussie fans. But like you said, I think not too many people would have been expecting them to put up as much of a fight as they did against Argentina, really.
Yeah, I think it's probably one of those games, I think, where you can walk off with your head held high for Aussie. To come away with a tight result like that. They would have been disappointed, obviously, that they weren't able to make it through. I saw a little snippet of them arriving back in Australia, and they got quite a few fans there to cheer them on, which was good to see.
Bit of a hero's welcome, well deserved. But possibly the team story, the biggest shock so far of the quarterfinal participants, Moroccans. Now, they continued their good group stage run of form there, with an impressive one over the Canadians to go through top of their group there. Good on the bastards. I mean, not too many people would have been picking that before the tourney started, with Belgium and Croatia in their group.
Yeah, definitely sort of looked like one of those groups of death there, I guess you could say. I think it was maybe the other group there with Japan possibly. But yeah, definitely a bit of a shock now. Game against Canada, I guess pretty expected.
Yeah.
But they've done very, very well now to come up with I guess, what's an easy way to say it? I'm trying to look for a word there. Coming up against a team like Spain, who, throughout the years have, we know what they've done on the international stage. Keep them goalless, I think, first of all, is a pretty outstanding feat. And to have that mental strength to come away with the win there, it's a game that's going to go down in Morocco history for a wee while, I can imagine.
Yeah, for sure. Obviously the Moroccans coming up against Spain there, due to the Spanish being the second big European hitter, I suppose, the big traditional hitters of the World Cup to suffer a famous comeback win at the hands of the Japanese. Yeah, look, no disrespect to the Japanese, but I think maybe before this game they might have preferred to be versing the Japanese than the Spanish, but like you said, they've done really well to deal with the Spanish, not only keep them out 0-0, but completely blew them away in that penalty shootout there. Bono, what a player. Saved a few pens there.
Yeah, a couple of good saves, and then I guess the nerve to be able to put a little dinking penalty down the middle there to send your team through.
Hakimi.
Yeah.
Ashraf Hakimi. What a player,
I guess
eh?
the man that probably the biggest name, I guess, in that Moroccan squad.
Yeah, him or Ziyech.
Ziyech, as well. Obviously Spanish born as well. So it's I don't want to say controversial, but it's a big storyline.
He's also a big supporter of his club teammate Sergio Ramos, and I saw a picture of a celebration Ramos did. It was like something like similar to like the LeBron thing, like just standing there with your hands like that, and they're doing it together for PSG, and then he does that after he kicks this winning pen against Spain, who famously omitted his good mate Sergio Ramos from the Spain team.
That's quite cool,
so
though.
He's kind of having a dig at the Spanish there, but yeah, love it. How good for the Moroccans, eh? Yeah, not too much else to say on that one. So on to another pool that, similar to that Mexico, Poland, Saudi Arabia, Argentina situation, where everyone could sort of go through and was depending on different results and goal differences. Uruguay and Ghana playing in a big game there, with Uruguay managing to get the job done on the day, but wasn't enough to send them through. We obviously hate to see Ghana being knocked out, but awesome to see Uruguay being knocked out. And a little bit of karma for 2010. You see Luis Suarez there in tears about being knocked out.
Yeah, gutted. He was gutted, and I know that he'd come out and there was lots of talk about it. And his thing that he said, I don't know if it's his that he said. I just saw a caption or a headline that said, "I didn't miss the penalty." And I guess you do have to look at it like that way, possibly as well, if you're a Uruguayan fan. But yeah, a little bit of karma. It's, I guess, sad to see Ghana being knocked out. It would have been nice to see another African nation being involved in the knockout stages there, but like you said, it was also nice to see Uruguay miss out there as well in that one.
Yeah, and Uruguay obviously missing out due to the Korea keeping that trend of upsets, underdogs, minnow footballing nations beating the traditional giants, so to speak. Yeah, making sure it's well and truly alive with beating the Portuguese 2-1 to make sure that they got through to the knockout stages, and the Portuguese didn't end up on 9 points. So yeah, another group. I don't think there was any team that ended up on 9 points. So how good was that one for the Koreans, getting the job done over the Portuguese?
Yeah, really awesome. I know we were talking about that, whether or not Korea would be able to get the result, and they did, which was really awesome. And it was nice to see, although he is a Spurs player, nice to see for Son how stoked he was to manage to get them through.
Yeah, and their opponents in the round of 16 there, one of the big favourites, the Brazilians there, who themselves were the sufferers of a bloody hectic upset there with
Cameroon managing to pull off the win, and
so good to see there.
Abubakar obviously getting the winner, and the red card to follow for the celebration, the second yellow for whipping off his shirt. But I saw a comparison to I can't remember what it was now, but there was a comparison with something, another sort of kind of big incident, I guess, with in similar fashion. But yeah, really, really cool to see, and nice to see them being the first African nation to beat Brazil at a World Cup.
Yeah, how good. First African nation to beat Brazil at a World Cup. Records being broken all over the place. But, of course, a little bit bittersweet for the Cameroonians. After the Swiss had managed to book themselves through. But, yeah, so good on the night to see an upset win like that. But Brazil back to winning ways in their round of 16 game. Emphatic win there, 4-0 up at half time, and yeah, of course they will win after the big news on Pele this week. They weren't gonna put in a substandard performance with the whole nation really sort of given that as their motivation for the side, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been really, like you said, big motivation there for them. And yeah, pretty stand-up performance, I think, to be able to go out there and sort of dominate a team like that. And in a World Cup knockout game, like you said, 4-0. Shout out to, I'll probably absolutely butcher the name, Paik Song-ho. Scored a screamer of a goal. Yeah.
I'm not sure if he's left-footed, but
he's
taken
unreal.
it with his left. And beaten, is it Allison that plays in goal?
Yeah, I think it was like 30 yards out or something like that.
Great finish there, but it was obviously a bit of a consolation in the end for them.
It was Allison actually, because I saw something.
Edison played against Cameroon,
and Weverton, the third choice keeper, got subbed on near the end of the game. I don't know if it's the first time ever. It may have been the first time ever that a team has used all all of their squad, which that doesn't seem right to me. That seems like a pretty far-fetched stat, but
especially that they used to be 23-man squads.
Yeah, maybe the first team to use a full 26, because it's 26 now, isn't it?
Because I think this is the first World Cup where it's 26.
So
Yeah.
possibly
that might be it, but if it isn't, then good on the manager.
But still
there.
Cool, regardless, for Weatherton to come on.
Everyone
he
gets
stoked.
a medal.
He looked stoked coming on, and yeah, a high chance at winning the World Cup. And it would imagine that your team goes on and wins the World Cup, and you're the one bloke. I'm sure there'd be someone there in the coaching staff or someone like that gives you one, but you'd still feel pretty. And even if you have only played 10 minutes, it's like, fuck, you've played 10 minutes more than
you played for Brazil at a World Cup.
Most of the other blokes.
It's no mean feat. Yeah. It's like getting an All Blacks jersey. Definitely one of the pinnacles of the sport, or a Kangaroo or Origin jersey. It's definitely got a bit of magic behind it, a bit of an aura that. Well, the goalkeeping jersey is obviously not that famous yellow, but yeah, Weatherton, he'll be able to have that frame jersey of the time where he played for Brazil at a World Cup, so it's awesome for him. But yeah, they're looking like the side to beat, aren't they? Not too many will be going against that France versus Brazil final in the end, I'd say. It's looking like that's going to be more than likely what ends up, but plenty of football to be played. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen the picture.
I have.
It's got to go down as probably one of the snaps of this World Cup. I think it's probably going to be turned into a meme of some sort if it hasn't already.
And this isn't the English bloke holding the World Cup in the crowd with, I guess, maybe like a caricature-looking face.
Yep.
Really just a dude showing pure elation, really. Really enjoying himself out there in the game. It's not him.
It's the polar opposite, isn't it?
It is. It's the polar opposite. It's a man of the match award given to Kai Havertz. And it's fair to say that he doesn't look too stoked to be receiving this award, that's for sure.
Yeah, look, obviously getting the job done against the Costa Ricans, but with the Germans being knocked out for the second successive World Cup, you can imagine that he was probably feeling just how he looked. Poor bloke. I suppose it's sort of one of the, what do you say, not perks of the trade, because it's not really a perk, just something you have to do as a footballer, I guess. You get knocked out, but you win man of the match. You got to take the photo for the sponsors. I suppose, pretty funny really for anyone that's not German to have a look at that picture and see the irony, but yeah, Japan were the reason that the Germans didn't make it through, thanks to another famous comeback win, as we mentioned earlier, against Spain there, to go through top of that group.
Pretty unreal. Now, we were talking about group of deaths before. You're probably looking at this one here as the group of death. And yeah, really, really cool to see Japan coming out on top there in that one. I don't think there would have been too many people picking that at the start of this World Cup. I don't think there would have been too many people picking Japan to go through at the start of this World Cup.
I think if people did those brackets, I'd say upward of 3/4 of people would have had Spain and Germany on either 9, 7 or 6 points, where they deal with Costa Rica and Japan easily, and it's just that game to see who tops the group.
Yeah.
I think so many people would have just picked that, and it's just so good to see Japan, I guess, throw a spanner in the works.
100%.
I suppose it wasn't any further glory for the Japanese. after they went through to play the Croatians, thanks to the Croatians booking their way through after a 0-0 draw against Belgium. Now, Romelu Lukaku has been in the headlines here. I think he missed 4 sitters.
Oh, one was real bad though.
If you look at the stats, 4 clear chances apparently that he's missed, and a couple that you would have liked to think any professional striker would probably be doing a bit better with, but certainly a man of that stature. I guess it's just one of those horror nights for the lad, and it sees the Belgians knocked out of the World Cup. Not too much else to say really. He'd normally bury those ones, and it was a bit weird that he didn't, but the Croatians would be thanking their lucky stars that they managed to get through and face up against the Japanese, who, I thought probably had the better of the general play.
Yep.
Throughout the 120 minutes of play there, but just couldn't tuck away, a chance to send the last edition's runner-up packing early in the tournament, but wasn't to be. It was pretty emphatic in the end from Croatia once it changed from football to penalty shootout, wasn't it?
Yeah. Now, I think the Japanese will be pretty heartbroken, I think, with how this one's ended up. To take it all the way to penalties and to lose in a World Cup game has got to be up there with one of your lows of your footballing career. Not in terms of a bad performance or a bad thing, but you'd just be feeling so down. But I think they can be pretty stoked, obviously, with, like we said, finishing top of that group. Always a team that's well liked in a World Cup, for the way that they behave and the way their fans behave. So, but Croatia, who obviously last time around managed to get themselves into a final, which was a little bit surprising, I guess you could say. Now, I guess, can they? You were saying before, it's kind of like what? One of those smaller teams in rugby, like your Italy's or your Scotland's or someone like that, going off and winning a World Cup, can they, take it that one step further? Are they going to be able to knock off one of these big teams, or are they going to be, are they going to fall short maybe a little bit earlier? It's an interesting team, Croatia, so I'm looking forward to seeing how they go in their next one.
Yep, it'll be a very tough one for them in the quarterfinals up against Brazil. But if they can hold out through to a penalty shootout, then Dominik Livakovic can be the hero again. 3 saves up against the Japs to knock them out and book that route through to the quarterfinals there for them. But keeping with a couple of countries that you might confuse names or places, Serbia and Switzerland. Now they're pretty similar with a few of the names that they pop out to the Croatians, and they were involved in a very hectic game, possibly one of the most hectic games of the World Cup so far, with a 2-2 draw at half time, and the Swiss managing to book their way through to just deal with the Serbians, I suppose. 3-2 in this one. Very helter-skelter game.
Yeah, goals all over the place. Another game that I was sort of just I went on and I actually think I might have been doing something at school possibly at the time, but I went on and saw it, and I thought it was pretty gnarly looking game, and obviously well done to the Swiss. managing to make it through to the knockout stages. Obviously cool for us to see there, with obviously one of the main men of that Arsenal team there in Granit Xhaka, managing to get them through into the knockout stages again.
Yeah, it was, like you said, a really good win against Serbs. 2-2 at half-time, the most goals to that stage in the first half of a game. And almost a couple of scraps involving our man Xhaka.
Yeah, there was a couple of
boiled
little
over a
tussles,
couple of times. So,
at the bench running on.
like you say, Xhaka's one of those guys who plays with his heart on his sleeve, to say the least. A lot of passion, and certainly never backs down if anyone gets up in his face or has anything to say that he disagrees with. So good to see. It was a team that I would have been hoping to back for a little bit longer, with Xhaka one of their main men there. But unfortunately, just like the Koreans and the Japanese, we won't be backing them as underdogs for much longer after Portugal managed to just run the ringer through them, really. 6-1. A hat-trick from Gonzalo Ramos. He's been the topic of
He's
many
been in the
debate
headlines, yeah.
regarding, does he play, or does Santos bring Ronaldo back into the side there?
It was. I remember
It's a good
seeing
conundrum
that.
to have.
I saw that in the morning before school, and I thought pretty big play to bench him, to bring on this bloke who I think at that stage had played like 44 minutes of international football. It was his first start for an international football, and to go out and score a hat trick like that. The third goal, I thought, nice little sort of dinked finish, I guess, over the keeper to seal the hat trick. Also, Rafael Leao's goal, nice finish as well.
Really good goal,
the sixth
yeah.
goal there. Obviously, Akanji managing to get a little scrappy goal at the back post there, a bit of a consolation finish for them. But yeah, I guess pretty unfortunate for the Swiss to sort of go out on a note like that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one. Look, debate all you like. Were Portugal resting Ronaldo in the hopes that he'll be very fresh to take on the quarter and semi if they can make it through there, with those 37, 38-year-old legs of his. But yeah, look, his replacement certainly given the manager a headache, to say the least. But look, unlucky for the Swiss in this one. But to be fair, I'll take a fully rested Xhaka, Partey and Odegaard coming back and dominating the midfield together for the Arse to hopefully guide us to a league title. I see Xhaka's even made his way over to Dubai to, not sure if he'll be involved with playing in a couple of friendlies that we've got scheduled over there, but to link up with the boys again and yeah, hopefully kick on for some more good football like we saw before the World Cup break. But yeah, that's probably about it in terms of the reviews there. Leads us into our quarter-final fixtures there with
Some very juicy looking
Yes.
games, I must say.
obviously you've got Netherlands up against Argentina, the 2010 and 2014 runner-ups respectively there. Croatia up against Brazil. England up against France will be a good one. A juicy little rivalry there. Two countries similar to New Zealand and Australia that like to go head to head in sporting contests due to the fact that they're close neighbours. And then finishing off with Morocco versus Portugal. Morocco probably everyone's adopted second team. If you don't have a team already still left in the tournament there. So plenty of good football to come over the next couple of weeks, and the chance of Argentina versus Brazil in the semi-finals to come, and the possibility there of our first ever African semi-finalist too. So yeah, all I can say is come on Morocco, come on England.
I'd love to see Morocco get the win. They've obviously already beaten their neighbours there in Spain. So yeah, all to play for over the next few days. So sorry, really looking forward to seeing how it ends up. And yeah, it's not long to go now till we get to the big dance. So we're really getting down to the biting point of the World Cup.
Oh yeah, and one other thing that I worked out the other day is it could be Argentina versus Portugal in the final. Could you imagine how loose of a Hollywood ending that would be to the Messi versus Ronaldo rivalry, to have a World Cup on the line and arguably what a lot of people would say would be their last World Cup cycle at the top, possibly dropped off the very, very top since the last World Cup, but they're still up there, and what a way it would be to sign off that rivalry. Another storyline if it came down to it, I wouldn't mind seeing in the final there, but yeah, that probably wraps us up for the World Cup there. If you want to rip into a bit of cricket, starting with the Black Caps.
There's obviously been quite a bit of cricket on recently for us, not just here in New Zealand but also overseas. But we were rained out of our last bloody home game. How scooby is that?
Yeah, look, now I thought we were on track to cruise to a bloody win there to make it a good 2-0 series win in the one days there, but obviously falling about 7 or 8 balls short of the Duckworth-Lewis minimum.
Very close, yeah.
Over mark of 20, so we were already halfway there with the runs, with only 1 wicket down. Look, anything can happen in cricket. We saw a couple of hideous Black Caps collapses in the 2020s, but you would have liked to think the lads would have brought it home there, or they could have got through a few more balls to see the Duckworth-Lewis award us the win. But pretty good to see Finn Allen come away with a 50 in that one, even though he was the 1 wicket to fall. But yeah, after a month or so of maybe being in the headlines for struggling a little bit.
For the opposite reasons, exactly, yeah.
Managed to quieten down for a wee bit anyway with a good 50 there. But I guess a few weeks off for the lads as they prepare to make the big trip over to Pakistan over the new year for a couple of tests. And then, we host England and Sri Lanka, so plenty of Black Caps cricket over the summer to rip into and have on in the background as your background noise if you're at work. So I love doing that, listening to a bit of the commentary while I'm working. So
yeah, I can't say I can really do that with 72 kids
teaching with the
around,
kids there, yeah.
I got to say, with
down
me
at golf
over the break,
while you're throwing some darts, listen to the cricket.
Always enjoyed that, walking around the course on a sunny day with the little handheld radio cranking a bit of AM, bit of 702 AM. So yeah, it is. It's good. But I guess where the unreal cricket has been, I guess these last couple of days has both been overseas. One pretty gnarly match involving Aussie and West Indies, and one involving England and Pakistan. Yeah,
now starting off with Aussie versus the Windies there. What a start to the match for Aussie. Racking up a really good day one, ending 292 for 2. And yeah, then Smith and Marnus both ended up bringing up their double hundreds on day 2, so it's probably only ever going to go two ways from there, either an Aussie win or a draw. But Marnus, how good! A double in the first, and then a century in the second. Pretty insane. He bloody loves a bit of Test cricket in Australia at home. He's now got the highest Test average in Australia, or second highest, behind obviously the great Don. So yeah, some pretty insane names that he's gone above the likes of Border, Ricky Ponting, Michael Clark, Steve Smith. He's better than all of those blokes, and we all know how good those guys are.
Pretty unreal batting.
With a chunk of wood in their hands, yeah. So Marnus quickly becoming a superstar of the world game and shattering a few records along the way.
And you had in that game there was an interesting bit, sort of obviously as Australia ended their innings and declared. You had, I think you were making your dinner at the stage, and I was watching, and you had Smith bring up his double 100. He was on 199, and he brought it up, and then directly the next ball you had poor Travis Head on 99 himself, plays it on to his own wicket, and he's out on 99. So they went out and declared after that. But a pretty handy first innings total there for them.
Yeah, it was, like I said, only ever going to really be an Aussie win or draw from there. But shout out to the Windies openers, Brathwaite and Chanderpaul there in the first innings, both bringing up their 50s. But apart from that, not too much else going for them in the first innings. A couple of 30s, but I think you said extras was the
third highest scorer. Yeah,
so
I think it was something like 39 extras or 38 extras, which
that's quite a lot of extras.
That's quite a lot of extras, you know.
You
like,
probably want a few more batsmen racking up.
I mean, when you're thinking of filming, when you're thinking of maybe a TV show, you've probably got more extras than you've got main cast.
Yeah.
But in terms of cricket,
you want your main cast
doing the job. You're not bringing in. You saw the Aussie under-19 captain subbed on. When they bring on the young bloke,
yeah.
He's on as he's either an injury replacement or they chuck him out on the field. Aussie under-19's captain, he got put on there, and I know he got a bit of a cheer, but unfortunately he's not the one out there that's being paid the big bucks to do the job. It's the main cast.
Yeah.
38 runs from the extras. Well done, shout out to the extras, I guess, really, at the end of the day. Good on them.
Yeah, good on the extras, but
leg buys, I believe, top scoring for them.
Good on them. Leg buys. But another shout out, the West Indian captain. He fought valiantly in the second innings there, bringing up the triple figures, the all important ton, but again, didn't really get much help. A 40 each from Chanderpaul, and then I think late on Roston Chase and Joseph had a good partnership there, with Roston Chase grabbing a 50 and Joseph a 40, but in the end they fell 160 short, so it's a good win for Aussie in the end, I suppose. But like you said, another game that looked very hectic. England up against Pakistan. Now, we thought 291 or 292 for 2. You'd be walking away a very happy chappy after day one, but England racked up 500 runs in a day.
A new record.
World record for tests. Like I said, I'd be happy enough with 300, let alone 400. But fuck, 500 in a test in a day.
Four centuries in one day of cricket.
All 4 openers in both respective, so Pakistan and England's first innings, all 4 openers made hundreds.
Yeah, unreal. I don't know if there was a record for most runs scored, like over 2 innings like that as well, possibly in a test.
Oh, I think back in the day they had some pretty loose tests because there was no time limit.
Yeah.
So they just had like games like that on pitches that were just paradise for batsmen, and they would. Yeah, I think there was one game where it was like one team got 700 and then another team fucking got like 600 in reply or something. But you'd have to de-ore on that, do your own research. But to be fair, there's been a bit of criticism about the pitch being a bit of a road, a bit lifeless for the bowlers. I think in the last test, when Australia played there was only 14 wickets all game, I believe, with a few declarations involved. But like you said, Pakistan racked up the runs as well in their first innings, and yeah, once England went into bat on about day 4, or late on day 3 for the second time, you thought it was draw written all over it, didn't you? But England, they've pulled off a victory, they're saying, for the ages. Now, when you look at this first inning totals, I'd have to agree. To get a result out of this game, pretty insane one, don't you think?
Very, very insane. Now, just quickly, I've just done my own research.
The most tests.
No, I don't know if it's the most, but in 1997, India played Sri Lanka, and now Tendulkar was in the team, Jayasuriya there for Sri Lanka, Ganguly. Now, India first innings, 537 for 8, and they declared, and Sri Lanka got 952 for 6. Like, Jayasuriya, I can't see the whole picture. Oh yeah, I can. Jayasuriya 340 off 578 balls. Mahanama 225 off 561. Holy shit, that is slow. De Silva 126 off 211, and Ranatunga 86 off 110. It was drawn. Several records were established in this match. That is just
unbelievable.
Yeah, that is outrageous. Jayasuriya got 36 fours, 36 times 4, 144. So he scored 196 runs, minus 12, 184 runs off 3s, 2s and 1s. Probably not too many 3s, 2s and 1s. Unreal.
Jesus. Yeah, no, I think I remember reading about that test, Crazy one. Didn't pop to mind, but yeah, well done. You've done the research, and I'm sure the punters will be happy.
At the other end of the scale, in 1955, us Kiwis actually against England managed to rack up a lovely high total of 26 for the lowest total in an innings in Test cricket. So the other end of the scale, there you go. Not like that. What was there was a game a couple of years ago, wasn't there? Where was it India up against Australia, and India got bowled out for something really, really little.
40 odd.
Yeah, 40-38, something like that.
Yeah, in the first test, and then they won the second test.
Yeah.
And third, I think. Yeah. Crazy. But it probably just about wraps us up for the cricket, as we, have our usual rundown of our NBA teams stateside. Now, it hasn't been the best of weeks yet again, as we report back to you on our teams, the Knicks and Wizards respectively. But I can say the Knicks are sitting 1 win higher and 1 loss lower than the Wizards, and 12 and 13 after a good win against the Hawks this afternoon. A bit more of that would be good from the lads. One loss, I believe, outside of the playoff spot, so half a game back. But, we're in the picture. We're there or thereabouts, and, hoping to, as we keep saying, bit of a theme on the NBA segment, make a bit of a bloody run and solidify ourselves in the playoff picture. I know you'll be hoping for the same for the lads from the capital.
I'm looking for more of a break of a run currently. I've just had a look. We are currently on the worst streak in the whole NBA, I believe. Yes, we're
because we were 10-7 or 11-7 at one stage.
We're a 4-game losing streak currently. Now, it's not what you want to see from your team. I got to say, I've been a little bit slack. I haven't really been too up to date. We're sort of down to the nitty gritty at work. It's that end of year, it's that getting everything done, it's making sure that your shit is sorted, and unfortunately for me, more often than not, it's not. So I've been sorting shit, and it's sort of been that sport that has had to be put on the back burner a little bit, and it's missed out. But we've got a game up against the Pacers on Saturday, and I'm hoping that we can put in a bit of a better performance, and I believe if we get a win, we can sort of make our way up a little bit further, and I believe even depending on how results go, maybe jump you lads again. So maybe it's not a battle for the final series; it's just a battle between the two leapfrogs, seeing who can get out on top between the Knicks and the Wizards at the end of the season.
Yeah, look, to be fair, I'd be happy to support either one of our teams in the playoffs. What a bonus it would be if both of us could make it and make a little bit of a run. Perhaps in... I think there's actually the play-in tournament now. So 9th and 10th get to play off with 7th and 8th. If that's still a thing.
It is, yeah, you're right. There is a little play-in.
So... Currently, I believe Wizards and Knicks sitting in 9th and 10th. So, there you go. Wouldn't mind getting a straight route through, coming in the top 6 there, but that's I guess brightened my outlook on the Knicks that slight bit more. But probably about enough for us on the NBA. A bit clueless there, as you can probably tell from listening to us, but something that the man across from me is certainly not clueless on, and we'll be taking you through a little bit of a rundown of what's been going on and what's to come in the world of darts. Take her away, Natty.
Now, it's obviously the build-up at the moment there for the big one next week, but there has been a little bit of darts that's still been on show. With for anyone who is an avid dart watcher, you'll be well aware and familiar with the Modus Super Series. Now it's live streamed across YouTube. It's pretty awesome way to do it. I think it's really good quality, and it's I'm just looking on their website now. Actually, it's a way to basically try and build the game and create a global audience. So it's really cool. And we've had Ben Robb playing. Now it's a bit of a confusing setup. I'm not exactly too sure how it works, but I believe there is some finals that will occur this weekend. But he's done really well, Ben Robb. He's managed to come out second. He played 15 games. It's a 6 in a little group there, and they play everyone once throughout the night. Managed to tune into a few of his games actually, and a couple of really good ones. Raymond Smith, the Aussie, he ended up coming out on top, winning 13 out of 15, and the only 2 that he lost was to Ben. And unfortunately, Ben lost a few others along the way, but played really well, I thought. So it's good signs before we get into next week, where he's up against Mickey Mansell to have the opportunity to come up against the reigning champ there, and Peter Wright. So it'll be interesting to see when we get to Ali Pali for the World Champs next week who ends up on top. there's going to be lots of good darts to watch, lots of good darts to be seen, and hopefully a few 9-darters. We love a 9-darter. It'd be great to see. Hopefully for Benny, be awesome to see him go well in this tournament. I know that all darts fans of New Zealand will be happily cheering him on. His first match is next Friday at 8:30 in the morning, I believe. First match of the World Champs. So pretty cool way to kick it off.
Go on, the lad. Get in there. Ben Robb, we'll be backing you all the way from our little corner of the globe. But that's probably about us for the week. As I always say, if you've made it with us this far through the episode, thank you very much. Remember to like and 5-star and subscribe to the podcast. Every little bit helps get us out there in the algorithms and helps us bring you punters out there more and more content. So go on, give us a follow on your social medias and like our posts, and most of all, enjoy the football, the knockout stages, the darts, whatever it is that you sit down and get to enjoy over the week. And if you're having a bit of a cheeky punt on the side, make sure to do it responsibly, as we always say. And we'll see you next week.
See you there.
Ciao.
Marshall skips away, Marshall's still going, Marshall's got Richards coming up outside, now inside.
Arsenal have gone through an entire league campaign without losing.
Bennett and the Dragons win the grand final.
Whips that one away, and Kane Williamson and his team now World Test champions.